New season with Betway. Use the golden booking code found on the Betway site to bet on selected match week and get 100% back as a free bet on any losses. You always get more with Betway. Regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. No under 18. Terms and conditions apply. Betway. Get way more.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studios at number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka in Accra. My name is Salom Adonu. Tonight I'm here with
Adjuatin Krama Domina.
Coming up over the next 90 minutes, Citi FM, Citi TV cards relief items donated by listeners and viewers of the station to victims of the Akosombo Dam spillage in Asuchari and other parts of Lower Volta. Meanwhile, large parts of the affected area remain submerged underwater, while victims take refuge in NADMO-created safe havens with limited food and drinking water. Tonight, we are in Asuchari and other parts of the Volta region. Also on Eyewitness News, civil society group New Ghana Social Justice Forum pickets at the precincts of boss demanding resignation of board members following the revelation that over 280,000 cedis was used by the state-owned entity to buy iPhones for its board members. Still on Eyewitness News, as a controversy stoked by the resignation of the Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams and Reverend Istud Anaba from the National Cathedral Board rages on, we hear from a former General Secretary of the Ghana Christian Council. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and other stories on Eyewitness News and in business.
Jubilee Oil Holdings Limited fails to pay over $70 million into Petroleum Holding Fund for first half of the year, more from PIAC's semi-annual report for 2023.
There is more in business in the next 50 minutes. Eyewitness News is live across the country on all our affiliates and around the globe at citinewsroom.com. Also in the Western region, we are on Premier 100.5 FM, in Takrady Beach 105.5 FM, also in Takrady, and Sky Power 93.5 FM, also in Takrady. We are on Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani in the Bono region, Hames 106.5 FM in Gosu in the Ahafo region. In Ashanti region, we are on Alpha Radio 104.9 in Kumasi and also on Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi. In the Volta region, we are on Global 105.1 FM in Ho and Adanu 107.7 FM in Adakluwaya. In the Northern region, this is Diamond 93.7 FM in Tamale and Westlink 88.1 FM in Laura in the Upper East region. In the Upper East region, this is Source 100.1 FM in Boku, and in the Northeast, SCAP 101.3 FM in Nakpan Duri. You can follow me on Twitter at Selom. I don't know, and the hashtag as always is Citi Newsroom. You can also comment on any of the stories that interest you on our WhatsApp line 0549986996. In the meantime, we take our very first story where NADMO is compiling lists of relief items they need or are available to them to be distributed to the victims of the floods in the Akosombo area.
The National Disaster Management Organization says it is compiling a list of persons in hard-to-reach areas affected by the spillage to ensure even distribution of the relief items available. The Volta River Authority spilled excess water in attempts to save the Akosombo Dam from being destroyed by the rising levels of water. Thousands of residents within the Volta region have been displaced. The Deputy NATMO Director, Seji Saji, tells City News his outfit is working with the Assembly members to reach persons in inaccessible areas.
We are also doing continuous assessment of the situation. If the holding area now becomes too congested, we try to work out to break them. In Adao, for instance, it's just a 4-classroom block, and we are holding close to 363 as of the last count last night. So we have already taken a decision working on breaking that number and sending them to another facility. So we are working with assemblymen. We believe strongly that, all assemblymen or any assemblyman worth his salt will have some good knowledge of the people in the electoral area, so that in the case of a situation like this, it will be easier for them to identify those who have been affected. So we also have NADMO staffs in all our zones. Sometimes you have 1 or 2 NADMO staff serving about 2 or 3 electoral areas. Now they are able to gather this data and send to us. It's a big challenge.
Yeah.
So we are meeting the electoral area or the assemblymen with the heads of agencies in the assemblies and their unit committee members. And that's how we build the list, validate it, and then send a team to administer the relief with them.
Seji Saji is the Deputy Director of the National Disaster Management Organization. Now, the water level in the Akosombo Dam has seen zero rise in the last 10 days. This is despite recent rains that generated concerns following the devastating impact of the spillage of the Akosombo Dam. Speaking to host of the City Breakfast Show, Bernard Avle, Deputy Chief Executive of the VRA, Engineer Edward Obenkenzo, revealed that the water level has seen a zero rise in days.
Below the 277.50. Today's level, after today's rise was 0, which means the influence of what we are spilling is the same. The level is around 277.36 as of this moment.
Wow. So this will be the first time in the past few days that we've had a zero rise.
Yes. As I told you last time, our data for mid of October, we should be anticipating lower inflows into the dam. So I think our data and projection is following the track that we think it should follow.
So that's really good news. And we are hoping, because yesterday I think it rained, or 2 days ago it rained, and a lot of people were worried. But it didn't seem as if that rain affected the upstream that much. I think more of it was in the downstream.
That is true. That is very true.
Wonderful.
Well, he also revealed that the authority has donated anti-snake drugs, among others, to help with emergency relief efforts.
We're also sending tablets, cleaning drugs that can clean the water so that the community can use some of the water to do their washing and water, mainly called chlorine tablets. We are sending all those things. Some of the drugs we are sending has to do with snake bite drugs to make sure that because the water is taking over, I say the more of the frost and then the bushes around, the snakes will find their way to the land. If you don't take it, they just snake bite. So we are sending all those drugs to the Shimpa or Portable.
Head engineer Edward Obenkengso, he's deputy CEO of the VRA, and more corporate organizations and individuals continued to donate enormously in response to the campaign by Citi FM and Citi TV aimed at raising funds and essential relief items to provide immediate assistance to those severely affected by the recent flood. An indigenous Ghanaian oil marketing company, T-Tepo Energy Limited, has contributed 120,000 Ghana cedis to the cause. Here are excerpts of the donation and other contributions on the Citi Breakfast Show.
We are an OMC.
You are an OMC, okay.
Yes.
Which areas do you have your outlets?
Volta, across Ghana. Volta region, Central region, Western region.
So a lot of the coastal communities.
Yes.
I see. So why are you here today?
Here to make a donation to the flood victims.
Wow. So this is on behalf of the company?
Yes, this is on behalf of the company.
And how much are you giving us?
120,000.
Hey!
120,000 cedis?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yes.
What? The reason I have to give it to my boss. It's too big. I haven't carried that money in my life before. 120,000 cedis?
Yes.
What have you seen?
Let's
Okay, let's finish the clapping. Wow.
No more job.
120K. That's a lot of money. Yes. What have you been observing and hearing about the situation that triggered that you come and do 120,000 donation this morning?
Well, it's a sad scene, I think, since the start of it. I think, personally, I first heard it from some young folks who had farms, fish farms there, and then it was, they were actually saying that beginning of the year, they invested a lot because I think the tilapia business and everything was growing. And then all of a sudden, this has happened.
So that's how you, so it's not even through media, through the fisher folk.
Yes.
Also, thank you to Mazim Rice. They gave us 100 bags. Land Tours and Avis Rent a Car, minibuses to transport volunteers. Avnash Rice, thank you. Ben Doche Malo himself, Baltic Ghana, 3,000 bags of sachet water, cool off treated natural water.
We have here Widow's Mite.
A nice check. 20,000 Ghana cedis.
Yes.
You mean we are ending the day on the 20th?
Thank you. Yes.
I didn't know that computer. I thought you were bringing some 2,000. 20,000 Ghana cedis.
Yes.
Wow, Kizito. May the Lord bless Peso. And may your next 30 years be better than your first 30.
Thank you.
Because next 2 years you'll be 30. 95 to 2025. So you guys have really stood the test of time. And of all your 7 tenors, the return on time invested, I like that one. And this 20,000 will be a good return when we go to the communities to do good work. So on behalf of the Citi FM Foundation, I want to say a big thank you to you.
You heard excerpts of interactions with donors on the Citi Breakfast Show earlier today.
97.3 Citi FM, Eyewitness News. We're coming to you live from our studios at number 11, Dr. Martin Lupin Dabraka in Accra. As you may know by now, Citi FM is serving as a rallying point, coordinating of a sort, relief, taking relief items from you and then cutting them to some of the very affected areas. And today, we did a very first, cutting of the items to the areas, the number of teams. Bernard Avle, who is a general manager of the station and host of the Citi Breakfast Show, we had the launch of that relief effort on his program, and he is in the area with a team seeing to the distribution of the relief items, etc. He joins me on the line to help us appreciate really what has been happening so far. Hello, Bernard. Good evening. Welcome to Eyewitness News.
Good evening, Shalom. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so where are you now and then what's happening right now?
We just got to a village called Toko, which is in the Shire of Sudoku district, beyond Asuchuare, to a camp with about 250 displaced people. And we are just offloading some of the donations to the people. It's a very dire situation. So we've been driving for many, many hours. When we got to the final bridge before the town, the river had overrun the bridge, so we had to wait for people to guide us to drive the truck across the bridge. But by the grace of God, we managed to get to Toko, having gone through many communities after Suchari, like Bolivo, Jokpo, and towns. Names I can't even remember now. But luckily, we're here. And for those who remember Omar Sanders' report, this was a community where people had been displaced. They've been relocated in a school. The school has no windows, no doors. And it's a very, very sad thing. But luckily, we are here. They are happy to see us. And we are offloading the items, taking stock of the issues. Because, there are a couple of things. First, you have to reach the place, which was part of the journey. Then you have to send the relief items. That's the second issue. Then you have to think about how to make the place more livable, which is the third leg. And then, of course, the government would discuss relocation or restoration to where they were living, which is the final stage. So there's a lot of work to be done. So this is the initial stage. And this was supposed to be like a recce trip to get a sense of some of the communities inside of Sudoku, because we will be moving to the Tong areas, we'll be moving to the Adan areas, and we're moving to the Anglo areas in the coming days. And even this one, which we're considering like a small opening, is a massive situation. So, Salom, I don't know what else to say, but I'm happy we are here. People are very happy to see us. And we started offloading. Hopefully we should be done before it's too dark. And I don't know when I'm getting in town tomorrow.
I see. Very, very interesting. So, of course, you've not been there, in the days prior. But given the situation there, what are the people saying? Are they saying the situation on the ground in terms of the flooding, etc., is improving, or it is as it is, or it's getting worse?
Well, because we are a bit closer to the Akosombo area, you can say that the flooding occurred much, much earlier than it is occurring. So if you follow the news now, people in the Anglo areas are suffering now because the water is now reaching there. So these guys have been, in a way, forgotten because the flooding occurred earlier and they've been physically cut off. They've lost their houses and they've been just brought to this place. So it's like we are working our way backwards and then we'll work to the places where there's a more immediate need. Don't forget that Nadmo is already in parts of the Mepe areas and in the Tong areas as well. So it's almost like trying to fill in the gaps before we go to the big ones over the weekend. They have said that they are in dire need of bedding because people are sleeping on the floor. They don't have windows. We are thinking about how to put nets on the buildings, at least so that the mosquito issue is dealt with. The assemblyman said if they got treated mosquito nets, it would be fantastic. That's something we're considering. So there's a lot of things. Luckily, we brought beddings, we brought saucepans, we brought food, we brought water, we brought mattresses, we brought water treatment tablets, we brought sanitary towels, we brought buckets, we brought detergent, we brought toothpaste. So for the 250 people or so here, at least this truck will be more than enough. But we have to now find ways of reorganizing the place to make it livable until the government or NADMO, whether they are going to move to a permanent place or whether they'll go back to where they used to live and reintegrate. And I can say that for at least for the next 1 month, these people will be here. So if you look at what we plan, we will go to communities like this, distribute food items to at least make their temporary residence more habitable. And then in collaboration, whatever the authorities do, if there's a relocation or there's going to be a more permanent solution, then that will be held. So what I'm trying to say is that this is just a tip of the massive iceberg of dislocation that has happened to many, many people all across the Volta, starting from Esojaman right down to Amano. So this is by no means nirvana. This is basically just the beginning of a very long haul. And it's going to be a very busy weekend for us as we move into the communities. Shalom.
Yes, so, how are you doing it? Are you just there yourselves as Citi FM, Citi TV, or you are receiving some assistance or guidance from the NADMO and the local authorities there about where to go and how to do it and what to do?
Since this was our first visit, we worked with the assembly people to organize this one. We do know that NADMO is already doing a lot of things. We just keep them informed of what we do, so there's no duplication. But from the weekend, we will go with some more staff, and I'm sure there'll be some volunteers who will join us as well to make the uploading easier, to make the distribution easier. Today's visit was like the first, because we've been raising money for Monday. We didn't want the week to end without actually going out. So this is, before you embark on a program of properly distributing relief items, you need to do like a case study of what will be happening over the weekend. But it was important because we didn't legislate the Brooklyn Bridge, right? So we learned some lessons along the way, but we've been in touch with the local authorities throughout our journey here. Hello.
Yes, we've also heard in the past, in the last few days, about the possibility of the situation triggering a health, crisis or health challenge. Did you see health people on the ground, who appear ready to help or arrest any such situation that may come up?
I must say that between when Sanda came here a few days ago and today, a lot of things have changed. So yes, the member of parliament has visited them. NADMO came as well. But more importantly, a team from the Joko, the town before Joko Medical Center, have come here to do some medical work. We saw some gadgets. Indeed, Umar Sanda interviewed them. But there's a medical team here taking data and doing tests. So it's clear that as the days go by, different forms of help gets to the people. So we're very encouraged to see two nurses from that hospital taking data and talking to the people. So that is a heartwarming. Hello.
Yeah, so I'm interested. What was the conversation around? Because those of us even far from the situation, when you listen to the experts talk, etc., sometimes you get scared. The water levels may be rising, etc., and what could happen if the dam is to break, etc. What is the conversation among the people there? Do they feel scared? Do they feel dejected? Are they hopeful that things will improve? What exactly are they talking about?
When I got here and started speaking to the people, their main concern was that the bridge that connects them to help, there are some big trucks that the bridge and that are destroying their bridge, because that bridge is the only connection they have to the rest of the world. So that's their first one. Number two, because they don't have water, the same water that's polluted coming all the way from Akosombo is what they use. So we actually spoke to people who were walking maybe 15 minutes to that river that we crossed to fetch water and use in the camp. So the concerns about the health threats are real, and all the health officers are telling you about the health risks are true, because we saw people carrying water from the river to use here. The issue of whether I'm not sure the discussion around the dam breakage is their concern at all. They are sleeping in classrooms without windows. They don't have beds to sleep on. So you need to solve those immediate problems before you start talking about national discussions at a high level, which is why it's important for the media to go out there to engage people on a real basis, to have a real sense of the matter on the ground. Then when you engage the experts, you can ask them more relevant questions and test what they say. But I need to say to you that when I interviewed Sergi Saji this morning, he did admit that they did not have camps in all the 8 districts. He said they were in 5, but in some districts, people had to put up with other people, and we've seen some of that in our journey here as well. So it's not every community that has been affected that has a NADMO camp, but because Ghanaians are very communal. For example, here, some of the saucepans they are using came from the headmaster's house and the assembly van. So people help each other, and I think that's what makes us Ghanaians. But the truth is that there are many parts of Ghana which have been forgotten that we have to spend more time reaching, and this disaster presents us an opportunity to go to them, listen to them, and then provide them help whilst a more long-term strategy is thought of by the authorities.
I see. So from this center, where do you go next?
oh, bro, I'm coming home. Then we'll strategize tomorrow because we have a massive operation on Saturday to a lot of communities. So, as I said, this was to start the process based on a story standard date. So, symbolically, he met the pregnant woman who was 8 months pregnant. We met her, we spoke to her. Obviously, things will improve with her. Some people in wheelchairs we spoke to as well. But we will come back and re-strategize in terms of the plan. We already know where we are going on Saturday, and we'll be going to some communities. We'll break the thing into many bits, and we'll be reporting throughout what we do. We're also working with a medical mission to go with us over the weekend to some of the communities in the Volta region, in Adan areas, and all the way to Angola. So those are some of the things we'll be doing over the weekend. That's Philip.
Thank you very much, Bernard Avle, speaking to us on this. Bernard Avle is in the Asuchware area where he's leading some relief efforts. I mean, relief items donated by listeners and viewers of Citi FM for this particular cause. Today, being the very first time we carted some of these items to the communities, and you just heard Bernard Avle speaking there. He's there with a number of my colleagues, interacting with people in one of the safe havens. I think it's a school, and helping them by giving them some of the items you have donated. 97.3 Citi FM. So we launched this particular exercise here a couple of days ago. We call it the hashtag Relief for Lower Volta, where we are serving as a rallying point for relief items from you. So if you're interested in donating to help alleviate the difficulty in any of the areas, submerged in water as a result of the spillage of the Akosombo Dam, it's quite simple. You can just bring those items here to bring them here at Citi FM in Adabraka behind the Adabraka police station, and we'll be happy to receive them. Relief items, it could be water, it could be canned foods, it could be beddings, mattresses, bed sheets, clothing, it could be cash, anything at all you have to help the victims of the flood in those areas. And a number of you have been responding, which is quite heartwarming. A number of you, even today alone, quite a number of you have responded. And we want to take this opportunity to acknowledge the following people who have responded to this humanitarian call. The Irish Pub, T Tekpo Energy Limited, Madame Rita Gipi, Julex Consult Limited, Pesol Systems Limited, Sherryfield Montessori School, Volta Ghana Limited, Richard Toku, DHL Ghana, Lantos Ghana and Avis Rental, Avnash Rice, Cool Off Treated Natural Water, Salom Kofi Atta, Bendoche Malo, Trelido Ghana Limited, CDD Ghana, New Day Industries, Michael Eusi Bensa, Dapa Family, Corey, Madame Glover, and Gloria August, Kill Splash Water and Company Limited, Echoes of Royal Daisy School, Echoes Oil Limited. They donated 200 life jackets and more names actually, and Ajwa has some more of those names.
We have Patience Lagbel, Comfort Pearl Glante, Raphael Yawakoli, Alexander Ni Ayite, Enyonam Fleku, Perfect Maulawoy, Ahmed Abdul Atachi Samson, Dominic Edu, Mavis Asi Adawo, Roland Tenge, Joanna Korte, Comfort Oscaria Mensa, Kofi Kekeli Amezro, Gloria Atua, George Nam, Ayarik Jonathan, Darling Palm, Vivian Onuma, Allen O. Lawson, Gostime Agbanu, Raphael Finn Williams, Margaret Ekia Ajima, Belinda Kinney, Mawulom Pate, Solomon Natete, Ivy Ejonam Beze, Mavis Arthur, and Neglo Lambert.
Some more names here. Mr. and Mrs. Chris, Aloenyaku, Awua Chermatin John, Rebeth Hygienic Foods, Lexus Agri Farms, they brought a lot of eggs. Lexus and Erica Agri, RM Engineering Limited, Dr. and Mrs. Ajiman, Reverend and S. Bruce Memorial Church brought a lot of mosquito nets. Staff of Penn Trust also donated. Max Men's Loss Adjusters Limited, Max Men's Multi-Services Limited, Mrs. Eunice Nyakwa Latte, New Age Agric Solution, Ifua Hagen, Celestial International School, Haven Bells Academy, Victoria Aligba, Dr. Ali Nachia, Swad Tipaja Abdul Majid, Dr. Abdul Majid Idrisu, David Kafu Kluje, Auntie Mabel Darko, Jennifer Abe, Samuel Kwesi Tebri, Evans Dankwa, Bright Mausi, Nathaniel Emisa, and Richmond Toku. Do you have some more names?
I do. Azima Patience, Sechofia Selasi, Rachel Banini, Marcus Ofori, Lydia Benin, Josephine Elikprim, Daniel Mole, Henry Nas Lawate, Francis Kumado, Michael Mengo, Dominic Adamo, Jeremiah Uzoma, Helena Boache, Doji Nyavo, Bright Kusiapia, Kwame Koko Rene Senyo, Freeman Akoto, Roger Nana Otu Gardiner, Lawrence Fosu, Bright Ahali, Rosina Ama Kokwi Kwaku Kome, Cornelius Kojo Mata, Richard Holy Sedofo, Martin Kofi Aflo, Daniel Mole, Justice Azanyuro, Erasmus Hospital Limited, and then Obeying a Champon, Samuel.
97.3 Citi FM, relevant radio always. What we're doing is serving as a rallying point for relief items from you to be donated to victims of the dam spillage in Lower Volta and some parts of the Greater Accra region. Today we started, cutting some of the relief items you have brought to us over the last few days. And currently our team, led by Bernard Avila and a few others, are in the Asuchware area, which was one of the first hit areas. And they are assisting some of the people in some safe havens, donating the items you have brought to them. And the indication is that they are very pleased with it. Our call is continue donating those items. And we have a number of ways you can do that. You can bring those items here at Citi FM behind the Adabraka police station. You can do it via Momo. I'll share the Momo number with you pretty shortly. Just bring whatever you have. I mean, canned foods, water, anything you have that is useful. Kindly bring the mosquito nets, eggs, cream, whatever it is, because there are a number of people. We understand about 26,000 people have been displaced, and it will take quite a while for them to have their lives back. Even if the water recedes, it will take quite a while for them to have their normal lives back. And we need to support them or help them as people, as Ghanaians generally, so they have a semblance of normals, even as they are in camps as we speak. So some more names: Olivia Morrison, Hassan Shadika, Abdul Latif Swala, Blaise Akpeja, Eram Ablagale, Brenda Fonye, Beatus Kwajo Dochi, Harvey David Jawara, Ruth Atta, Robert Intifo, Joshua Samuel Abose, Mildred Paddy, Kojo Zumeke, Doreen Taiko Na, Jejom Adu Kloba, Daniel Yekple, Abdul Rahman Sadat, Boti Nancy, Godwin Azosu, Eunice Nyakun Owusu, Ni Odoe Yemosin, Gabriel Kofi Apoma, Charity Silta Kujau, Nana Konedu Amoa, Happy Afidogbe, Beatrice Ejewa Obin, Anthony Mensa Kujo, and then Francis Entry. I do have some more names.
All right, so Teiko Ni Okain, Albert Sako, Celestial School Complex, Priscilla Letitia Nete, Brenda Joyce Phillips, Kwejo Entry Jesse, Gameli Kujo, Apavoni Concept, Upon Emmanuel, John Kwamena Bosumche, Roland Ahaji, Richard Kwejo Abowu, Excel Ventures, Sami Laye, Isaac Yao Yawuli, Anthony Aqua, Ernest Tete Ejay, Dadzi Ebenezer, Class Pharmaceutical, Cynthia Amon, Augustine K. Ngisa Sechim, Eden Duncan Nuhoho, Na Ofebia Daku, Sandra Laye, Mrs. Nukono Ami Ayeme, Seiram Kwame, Gagodo, Joel Asamoah Kweku, and Caleb Korte.
If you're wondering what we are doing, we are acknowledging persons who have donated to the relief support campaign for affected residents of the Akosobo Dam spillage in the Lower Volta area and parts of the Greater Accra and Eastern regions. We launched this campaign a couple of days ago, and the response has been phenomenal. But, there's still a lot to be done. Over 26,000 people, we understand, have been displaced, and we are asking that you help the effort by donating to us as a rallying point so we can cut those items to the people in those areas. Water, sachet water or bottled water, food items could be canned or bagged food, mattresses or other beddings, blankets, toiletries, medical supplies, whatever you can donate. It could be cash. You may not be able to carry the items here to Citi FM. You have cash as you are listening to us. You can donate via the WhatsApp and the Momo number 055 09 00006. Take it again, 055 09 00006. 055 09 00006. The name on it is Omni Media, and you reference it with flood support. We will get it, and we'll be very happy to send your effort to the people in those areas who are suffering, to put body and soul together as a result of the devastating flood situation, which has actually ejected them from their homes, and now they are having to live in camps, with very inadequate food and other supplies. Others who have also donated include John Abiu, Emilia Ando, Edem Nyonyigbe, Nana Konedu Dakumensa, Catherine Jifa Aplaku, Faustina Efriye Adomako Bernard, Beriwonu, Andy Koshi Agbakpe, James Owusu, Ofori Kweku Menu, Solis Jokoto, Felix Nkamba, Noah Amedo, Justice Edu, Akpene Jija, Alfred Oscar Ampa, Jeffrey Foley, Nigel Fifi Sosu, Jasper Kwesi, David Sadega, Blesseriam Amuzu, Lovia Taki, Adelaide Obo, Manin Elvel. More names?
Salom, I think that's my last list for today. I have Abraham Latte, Zonam Beze, Nana Opokuentri, Matthew Dodoye, Wilson Glay, Emmanuel Nino Okwe, Benedicta Avotri, Christopher Felix Kujo, Selena Thompson, Veronica Ahen Ajo, Kwejo Ado, Christabel Winifred Nade Jani, Jessica Asante, Derek Delali Kushito, Elizabeth Nina Crane, Delali Apeti, John Yao Ansa, Lovelace Kudaje, Frank Eduteria, Ruth Oparabia Ampa, Philip Nomeshi, Nelson Awenseba Akprilima, Nyamedo Aziza, Mary Nice Duamepo, Abdul Fatal, Bueno and Noma Popular, Charles Osei Owusu, and Eric Yao Kumi.
All right. Thanks so much, Ajua, helping us go through all those lists. We are so grateful as a station and as a people for all you have done by helping donate to this cause. Citi FM, Citi TV 7 as a rallying point. Our people are in a difficulty, are struggling with no fault of theirs. The Akosombo Dam has had to be spilled, and people who live close to the dam in the lower Volta area, parts of the eastern region, and even the Greater Accra region are having to bear the brunt of that. And all we can do is to support them as fellow countrymen and women. And that's exactly what you've been doing. You can continue to do that by donating beddings, donating water, sachet or bottled water, food items, canned food, or bagged food. That is what they need readily. Mattresses, blankets, etc. Money. If you have money to donate, or you think you cannot travel all the way to Citi FM or Citi TV to bring your items, but you have mobile money, so you kindly take down this number 055 09 00 006. The zeros in between are 4. 055 09 00 006. The name on that account is Omni Media, and you reference your donation by flood support, so we know that particular support or money coming is geared towards the relief efforts. 97.3 Citi FM. We appreciate so much your assistance in this regard, and we know God will greatly bless you. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll look at other stories, including what's been happening today at Bost. Don't go away.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You know, Papa see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa!
Bobo, so how your engine now?
It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Quartz and you can feel better energy.
Can't touch this.
Actually, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that.
Yes, so
Somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched.
Sancho Panza. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz?
No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer.
Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency.
Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chairman.
Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
When you want to eat, just Momo it. Tired of the long queues in the supermarket? Pay with Momo. When you really want that beautiful new blouse, just Momo it. When you want to get a trim and get fresh to impress you know who, just Momo it. When you need to pay your utility bills and domestic staff, Shani Momo. When you want to send love to the family back home, send some Momo. Join the millions of MTN Momo users all over Ghana and live life the brighter way. So just Momo it. MTN.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. My name is Selom Adonu. Tonight I'm here with Adjoa Tinkrama. A few of your messages that have come through. This one, New Dig from Accra says, Selom, God bless you and the entire Citi FM team. More grace and power, more grace, and continue being neutral in all national discussions. Keep working hard for the nation. Godson Simpri from Peki says, Selom, good evening. Germany in South Day district is one of the worst affected areas. It must also be given some attention. Okay. Sefi Amon says, very heartbreaking watching your countrymen and women, and most especially children, go through the havoc this spillage has brought on them. Question is, why did VRA wait for the water to get to the level it is now before the spillage? Could the spillage have been done earlier? Why wasn't it done? Was Doom sort of a discussion on the table, and the spillage wasn't carried out at the time it must? So sad, you say. Alex Kofi Yarini in Adenta says, I wonder why our leaders are always thinking of the next election and not ways of improving lives of citizens that put them there. You say. Now, let's go to the story of the National Cathedral. Earlier this week, two heavyweights in the Christian or the charismatic circles in Ghana, the Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams and the Reverend Eastwood Anaba, who were both members of the National Cathedral Board, resigned, stating reasons of opaqueness or lack of transparency, the matters of audit, and their inability to meet the president, to have some discussion and all of that. Now, the day or two after, the National Cathedral Secretariat itself also issues a repost, and they say that all the things that the two revered men of God put out were false. In fact, they were false. They claim that they were in meetings where the matter of audits, etc., were discussed, and there was a discussion to appoint Deloitte as the auditors. And indeed, Deloitte has since been appointed as auditors, who were supposed to have finished and submitted their audit findings sometime in July, but there's been a delay. And a number of other things. And they, in fact, did say that the resolution to suspend work or cease work on the National Cathedral, as submitted by Archbishop Duncan Williams and Reverend Eastwood Anaba in the January meeting, was outrightly, rejected or dismissed by all members, because they thought that the reasons they cited in that particular resolution were untenable and they were not things they could go by. And so, they find more or less their resignation and reasons given as not in good taste, lacks candor, and that a lot of them were untruths. it's one reaction after the other. Appears like the top brass of Christendom in Ghana are split on the issue of the National Cathedral, etc. More reactions continue to pour in following the resignation of the founder and general overseer of United Denominations of Action Chapel Churches Worldwide, Archbishop Nicholas Denke Williams, and President of the Sudanaba Ministries, Reverend Sudanaba, from the Board of Trustees overseeing the construction of the cathedral. The two clergymen, in their resignation letter on Tuesday, October 17, claimed that they were bowing out because the board had refused to conduct an audit into the project. They also claimed that they had not received any update on their call for an audit earlier in January 2023. The executive director of the National Cathedral Project, Dr. Paul Opoku-Mensah, has also in a press statement clarified that there was an ongoing audit being conducted by Deloitte. So now let's go to the phone now and speak to the former General Secretary of the Christian Council of Ghana, Reverend Dr. Kwabena Opuni-Frimpong, on what he makes of the recent matters concerning the National Cathedral Project. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. It must be very discomforting seeing your colleagues at a very high level engaged in what could be described as a media war in respect of the National Cathedral Project.
Hello, let me say good evening to you and your team and your cherished listeners. And let me say, appointing authorities reserve the right to accept resignations or not. And at this instant, is the president or the government that appointed members of the board of the National Cathedral. At the moment, I'm not sure, but I have not heard any statement coming from the president's office or the government whether the series of resignations have been accepted or not. But there's an issue, if you permit me, I would rather want to raise on the cathedral as we have this conversation. Now, I was in the office as General Secretary at the very beginning of the National Cathedral. One former presiding bishop of the Methodist Church, Reverend Dr. Samuel Asante-Antwi, was then the chairman of the board, the National Cathedral. And he was explaining matters to us in a series of meetings. And I remember him telling us again and again that we, the churches in Ghana, we are going to build a cathedral, not the government. And that the government is only going to facilitate the process. The president will give a seed money, and we are going to build a cathedral. We were excited about the idea because we felt it will unite us. Our friends in Nigeria have a similar thing. They don't call it National Cathedral. They call it National Ecumenical Center. But all the churches in Nigeria came together to build that facility. So we felt we were having opportunity to work together as a Christian fraternity to achieve something. Until the Honorable Abrakwa started a series of disclosures, many of us or some of us felt that the churches were building cathedral. But during that period, it became very clear that it is the government that is building. My plea is that government must, if possible, allow the churches to build a cathedral. Government can facilitate, as we were told at the initial stages, but Christians in this country must accept the responsibility to build the National Cathedral. We should not offer to God a cathedral that costs us nothing. And that has been my position. That's what I want to share with you and your cherished listeners.
But very well. The government, I think, has maintained that it is not building the cathedral. It is still only providing seed money. We do not know how much that seed money is, which is a major point of contention. Government said it was providing the land and the secretariat, which is what we know and which is what they are doing. The issue of the seed money, we do not know. But government still says that what it is doing is raising the seed money or providing the seed money. So I don't think that it has, we have derogated so much from the initial communication to you, as you said, Reverend Asante Entry, relayed to you. Government still thinks that it is only providing seed money, unless you think otherwise.
Salom, this is an issue that we may need maybe somebody from government or to just come out and publicly state the position. I've heard you. During the parliament discourse and a series of conversation, and I've heard some of the government communicators and others, sometimes they don't give you the assurance you have just stated. And I wish somebody will re-echo that position. And therefore, how much the facilitation or the seed money and all that. And then somebody must let the Christians in this country know that this cathedral, the responsibility is the churches, it's not government. We will need that very clear statement coming from official source. I have heard you, but I have also heard other comment, whether they were official or they are individual positions. Now I can't make any commitments to those things. But statements have been thrown here and there, and sometimes we are not very sure whether it's government building cathedral or Christians in Ghana building cathedral.
I see. So of course there's space or basis for your concern as well, because people think that government is putting in so much money. Government is throwing money at it. Of course, Kujato, Blackwest, Revelations, etc. Do you have a feeling, or do you know why government will be so interested in putting up this cathedral and so putting it a lot of money beyond what the seed money may be or not? We do not know. What's your suspicion really?
You see, at the initial stages, they made it clear to us that the vision of having a national cathedral is the president's vision. But the churches in Ghana are going to build. He or the government will facilitate the process and he will give seed money. And so that time, those of us in the office now started, I've been coming to some media houses and explaining, and we started moving around that this is our responsibility. I remember at a point where we're having challenges with the current site. Even we started saying that, fine, the churches will be prepared to even go outside Accra to Aburi or any other place to build, because we were convinced that we are building this cathedral, so everybody come on board. At the moment, I'm not sure. It depends on who you talk to. Why, for instance, Salom, you want me to believe that it's still the church's building. There are others who also sometimes want to hold a view that, this is a government thing. We will need to streamline this public opinion about the cathedral. Is it church's responsibility or government responsibility? From where I sit and knowing what I know right from the beginning, I am not very sure. And I will need somebody from state government to say, government is not building cathedral. There's nothing like Ghana government building cathedral. It's the churches in Ghana. If somebody tomorrow morning will come out and make this very clear to Ghanaians, I think moving forward, the challenges we are having at the moment with the National Cathedral, we may have a new trajectory moving into the future.
Do you think that the resignation of the two men of God, Archbishop Nicholas Denke Williams and Reverend Sudan Naba, will have any effect on the credibility of the project or of the Board of Trustees or anything? You think it will have any bearing or effect on them?
They have only turned in their resignation. Whether it will be accepted or not, we don't know. And again, how I wish we have had how many hours now. If government or the president is accepting their resignation, we should know. If the president will not accept their resignation, we should know. Salom, you are asking me what impact will this have? But do we even know whether they will be allowed to resign or not? Because the mere fact that you turn a resignation letter, it doesn't mean you've come to the end of the road. The appointing authority can meet you and say, these are the issues you are raising. We have the answers. We still want you there. Or, oh yes, you raised this issue. Sorry, we don't have answers for you. It is when we reach there that even the issue you are raising for me, those people have turned their resignation, but till the appointing authority respond to their resignation, even though they are on their way out, they are still in.
I see. Well, I'm not so old, but at least I'm old enough to know how things work in Ghana sometimes. I've seen the response from the National Cathedral of Ghana. The response doesn't appear like the letter of resignation will not be accepted by the appointed authorities, saying that the is false and all of that. The tone of it itself doesn't suggest to me that the appointing authority would not accept the resignation, even though the National Cathedral of Ghana is not the appointing authority, but they work with the appointing authority. And if any such thing were to be there, I'm sure we would have known. So I mean that's just what I think. But do you think that
before you move on, you as our media team and you, Titi, you do a wonderful job. Can somebody just talk to either the office of the president that what is the government's response or whether reaction or whatever on these letters, series of resignation? Because these they were handpicked. You find heads of churches from those churches, but it's not like say the Catholic Church or the Presbyterian Church or the churches you mentioned. It's the president that handpicked them at the beginning and then they were given letters. And all those who are still there that gave the response you mentioned, they were also handpicked and appointed by the president. So they've given their reaction that, fine, you are suggesting that maybe their reaction suggests that will may be the position of the president. But seriously, technically, they are just part of the board, but we must still hear from either the office of the president or now the cathedral and the Ministry of Tourism. Somebody there must officially, but if Citi can talk to somebody and clear this issue tomorrow morning as part of your news, you will do us a lot of good.
Very well. Even though we are rallying support for the flood victims, but we can add this to it all the same. But do you think that the church in Ghana really needs a cathedral or really want to build the cathedral?
I am a pastor, maybe Salom, but I also share the flood challenge. I don't know if we can have some seconds to talk about that.
Yes, in your closing remarks, yes, I'll give you some time to talk about it.
Yes. But I'm a pastor, and if you are asking me, do we need cathedral? I think you are asking the wrong person.
No, what I mean, yes, maybe let me rephrase. What I mean is, when the churches have their own churches, this cathedral, I mean, it is not to be used for a church in the sense we know. I mean, it's a place, a rallying place, national events, inaugurations, when there's supposed to be a national maybe service. Yes, we do it there, and a few other things. So it's not like a church, okay? But the point is, the church right now, we are, split into denominations, etc. Everybody's thinking about building their own, mega church and all of that, which they can take credit for. The question is, you think the church in Ghana is ready and willing to build this cathedral that has been embroiled in so much, controversy? And how would they do that? How would they contribute? How would they do that? Is it monthly contributions, weekly contributions, Ama and Kofi contribution? How would that be? Quite a loaded question, but
I know. Salam, you see, we don't have a communica center like whether I call it National Cathedral, but the churches in Ghana have joint projects now as Prempeh, and Prempeh belongs to Presby Church and Methodist and Menshia. It's a joint thing, and of course, government is in it. We have Christian Health Association of Ghana. It's a body that is managing all the Christian health facilities in Ghana. Close to 40% of all health facilities in Ghana, the Catholic Hospital, Presby Methodist, Baptist, Pentecost, Anglican, EP, all of them, they come together. So there are so many things that the churches in Ghana, we do together in education, in health, and other sectors. What we don't have, which you find in other countries, is what we are talking about. And it will be wonderful for us to have such a communicable facility. I have been a former Christian Council General Secretary. We've been organizing programs, and you have to go and beg. If you want to go to Catholic, you have to go and beg them. If you want to go to a Presby facility, or we will beg, because we don't have a common grounds like that. So such a thing we need. And in fact, there are individual churches in Ghana that have even done the seating capacity of 5,000 we are talking about. There are churches that have bigger facilities like that. So again, the next question you ask, that we are capable. Yes, and in fact, initially, people were donating. Churches, congregation, because they were going around. And the initial impression that churches, Christians were doing it. So individual congregations, churches were donating. I don't know how the zeal and enthusiasm is at the moment, but people started donating. And so that we are capable, yes, we are able, we can do it. But at the moment, you use a word, I don't want to repeat it. The National Cathedral in the public space, we need to work on it to attract the zeal and enthusiasm of people. I think that is where the challenge is. But if Christians in Ghana want to have a communicable facility, call it National Cathedral, we are more than able to do it. Now, what more is the enthusiasm, the excitement that initially we were able to build. I have my doubt if it's not going down.
Very well. You wanted some remarks on the relief efforts we are leading.
Yes. Now, some things must quickly be done. Our friends in Mepe and other parts, in fact, not only even in Volta region, OT and other regions are going through crisis. And we are one nation. We plead with our politicians not to politicize what people are going through. You see the pictures, the videos, and people need help. This is a genuine need. And maybe let's use your platform. I know some of you have started mobilizing, giving numbers for people to contribute. Some have started providing food and clothing. Any Ghanaian that can be of help must be there. We must all be there. Churches are moving. Then my own church, Presbyterian Church of Ghana, are moving. Let's all move through to such areas and let our friends, they are in need, feel that they are loved, they belong, and Ghana is a nation that cares. But later on also, we need to find out who were the consultants, who did the feasibility studies, what impact were they expecting for this spirit. And I believe some people must accept responsibility of what people are going through at the moment in some parts of Ghana. We need to let people take responsibilities of their action. We cannot let this pass. But immediately, people need help. Students, children, health facilities are being destroyed, and Ghanaians must rally around our dear ones in some parts of Ghana, Volta region, Uti, and elsewhere, and let them feel that they are loved, they are needed, they belong to this dear nation.
Thank you very much, Reverend Dr. Kwamna Opuni Frimpong, former General Secretary of the Christian Council of Ghana. Thanks so much for speaking to us. Now, there's a civil society organization, a new Ghana Social Justice Forum, has today picketed at the premises of the bulk oil storage transport facility in Accra to demand the resignation and subsequent prosecution of top officials of the company. This follows the recent purchase of some 18 mobile phones for boss corporate executives, amounting to about 280,000 cedis, and a number of financial losses by SAME in 2020 in the 2022 Auditor General's report. Addressing the media at the protest, President of the Ghana Social Justice Forum, Yaya Alassane, called on the president to, as a matter of urgency, dissolve the board of directors for BOST by way of protecting the public purse.
Ghana is beset with corruption. The energy ministry is an industry of corruption in a theater of scandal. We are calling all on all to join this imminent campaign for the prosecution of all BOST top officials, for the dissolution of BOST members.
So that was Yaya Alassane, president of a civil society organization, the Ghana Social Justice Forum. Meanwhile, Deputy Managing Director for BOST, Moses Mensah Asem, gave this reaction or response.
I am not going to respond to any document here. The fact remains that there are a lot of unfounded allegations as far as I heard him. Luckily, BOST has its financials audited 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, and 22. As I speak, we have been to the Public Accounts Committee in Parliament. They have reviewed all our documents. There is one allegation there that is in the audited account, the 3 million that being described as loot and share. It's a transaction that took place in 2015 at the time that the present management team were even not in office. That transaction was a payment for land, 16-acre land, to use it for LPG terminal. And at a point, 3 million plus, wasn't 3 million exactly, was part payment was given to the landlord who sold the land.
So you heard the Deputy Managing Director for BOST, Moses Mensah Asem, who I'm sure he received a petition from the protesters. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We've eaten a bit into business news, but we'll take a short break. When we return, business news is next.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Charlie, the transport business there, when it's nice. But if your driver starts frustrating you, hey, sleepless nights too. Ever since Core Fleet Tracking was recommended to me, at the feedback, their service will let you know vehicle location in real time, including speeding, and you can remotely immobilize the vehicle. You will also get real-time fuel information on exact refill volumes and get alerts on fuel theft. Core Fleet will also warn you if your drivers are driving dangerously and alert you on driver fatigue, driver on phone, and driver not wearing seatbelts. Visit www.corefleet.com for more information. That is korfleet.com or call 0532 116 711.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
It's time for the Citi Business News on Eyewitness News, powered by CitiBusinessNews.com. My name is Adjoatin Kramat Domina. The details now. And Jubilee Oil Holding Limited has once again failed to pay proceeds amounting to over $70 million from liftings into the Petroleum Holding Fund for the first half of 2023. This is the fourth consecutive time the company has not paid proceeds into the Petroleum Fund, contrary to advice of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, GNPC. This was disclosed in a Public Interest and Accountability Committee PIAC semi-annual report, which spanned the period of January to June 2023. With this latest breach, the total amount of oil proceeds not paid by Jubilee Oil into the Petroleum Fund stand in excess of $340 million. Here's a chairman of PIAC, Professor Kwame Adom-Frimpong, demanding parliamentary intervention for appropriate petroleum revenue laws to be applied.
The JOHL, that is Jubilee Oil Holding Limited, it has been a debatable area where you mentioned that the monies or the funds are supposed, the lifting funds are supposed to go to petroleum revenue, a holding fund at the Bank of Ghana, but there are some counter arguments. GMPC is giving its own argument, Attorney General advice, and then PIAC is also advised. The PIAC, we are of the view that the money from DOHL still should go to Bank of Ghana as part of the Petroleum Holding Fund. This year, we have got $70.4 million. It's not yet gone yet, still on debating issue. So if you add up all the money that have been obtained from lifting by the DOHL, it comes to $343.1 million. And our stand is that it should go, but contrary view are given. So it's a point where the debate is still continuing. But of course, we report to Parliament, so Parliament will come out and then the matter will be concluded.
You heard Professor Kwame Adom-Frimpong. He is chairman of the Public Interest and Accountability Committee. The Ghana Statistical Service is advocating for policies to bridge the inequality in access to clean water. This call follows the release of the 2020 and 2021 Comparative Analysis Report on Water and Sanitation. The report reviews that over half of Ghanaian households have access to drinking water sources on their premises, particularly in urban areas. Access to on-premises drinking water sources varies by region, with the Greater Accra region having the highest percentage at 88.9% and the Northeast region the lowest at 8.7%. Now, as part of its medium-term national development policy framework for 2022 to 2025, the country aims to ensure that 70% of the population can access safely managed drinking water. Deputy Government Statistician Dr. Faustina Frimpong Adjoa shared key highlights of the report.
53% have their source directly on their premises, but yet there is some kind of distribution or some kind of inequalities. Look at Greater Accra, 88.9, almost 9 out of 10. Every household have this water on their premises. And look at Northeast, barely 1 in 10 have water on their premises. And again, when you look at the urban and rural, then you realize that even in urban, about 7 of households have it on their premises, but the rural is barely 2 out of 10. And so if we want to not leave anybody behind, to ensure that we have water within that reach, then we also need to look.
You heard the Deputy Government Statistician Dr. Faustina Frimpong Adjoa sharing key highlights of the report. Now, spare parts dealers at Abosuokai are still asking government to direct the Ghana Revenue Authority to rescind its plan of stationing members of its monitoring task force at shops as part of its tax compliance exercise. The dealers have threatened to shut their shops earlier this week, but have postponed it to November 1. Techiado is head of communication at the Abosuokai Spare Parts Dealers Association, and he has been speaking to City Business News.
Oh yeah, if you hear anything positive from the government that this station our shop is abolished, of course we want the model to be abolished, not to suspend. We want this policy compliance, this invigilation, we want it to be abolished, not to suspend. The word suspension, we don't want to hear the suspension because it started last year and they so therefore suspended it. So it's not going to happen again. But this year, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, the same issue popped up again. But our position is very clear. We want it to be abolished. Simple as ABCD. If the government wants to sit down with us and they are going to abolish it, they're fine. We are go with the government. We could go with the government. If the government says they are going to suspend it, we are not going to agree because we need to finalize this model for once and for all. Abolish it. That's all.
You heard Techiado, he's head of communications for the Abosuokai Spare Parts Dealers Association. That's all we have for you for City Business News on Eyewitness News. It was powered by your most comprehensive business website, citybusinessnews.com. My name is Adjoa Tinkrama Domina. Up next is Point Blank.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
I'm on way! Yeah! Media Sambisanda Moa. And Tiamratiano, Mumu Planet, Vinamo Podompe, Maniacono. Eh, Quabna. No Mumu wants me to be just my Marina there. Eh, good job. And the crew, complete Mirin and Budom, so you supercedent Eba. I didn't buy the Braille. Who see it in a mobile, some man out in it. Sir, I now could you soon use supercedent Chaco, Nenry dear, a mouse, who you could fit that. No, what you ask you, my mother feel you. Hey, could you, sir? Yeah. Pepsodent Eba and a Pepsodent Chaco. I've idea. You're gonna natural.
FTIJ Jadian Katuyatu.
You know, Papa, see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa.
Bobo, so how's your engine now?
It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Cause and you can feel better energy. Can't touch this. Tell you guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that.
Yes, so
somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched.
Sancho Panza. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz?
No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine
younger for longer.
Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies DA improves fuel efficiency.
Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chairman.
Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens. My name is Salom Adunu. Tonight on Point Blank, we bring you portions of a speech delivered by former President John Dramani Mahama at the 2023 Universities Conference on Slavery in Canada.
I'll say that I'm honored to be here today at this conference with such a fascinating and esteemed group of participants and attendees. I arrived 2 days ago from Ghana. I traveled by air over a route that an untold number of slave ships with their human cargo packed tightly. When flying over the Atlantic Ocean, regardless of the time of day, the flight attendants will dim the cabin lights and lower the window blinds. Because of this, I never think to look out of the window. It never occurs to me that I'm being transported over the Middle Passage, which is perhaps the largest graveyard of formerly enslaved people in the world. During the 3+ centuries of the transatlantic slave trade, more than 12.5 million once free African men, women, and children were carried from their homelands as enslaved people to islands in the Caribbean and countries in the Americas. On every voyage, roughly 10 to 20% of the people being transported did not make it. They died from disease or abuse, and their bodies were thrown overboard. Or they decided that death would be preferable to whatever fate lay ahead of them, and so they jumped overboard. My speech today was meant to focus on loss. I wanted to speak of the unimaginable loss of human resources that the continent of Africa has suffered because of the transatlantic slave trade. Every developing nation knows that regardless of how much gold or oil or timber or cocoa or any other natural resources you might have, its citizens are in fact its best resource. Think of the loss that the African continent suffered as its warriors, its farmers, its hunters, its carpenters, its jewelry makers, tailors, griots, seamstresses, chiefs, doctors and other healers, architects, artists, philosophers, etc., were lined up with shackles and chains at their ankles and wrists, then boarded onto slave ships and carried across the waters, where they were forced to use all of those skills that they possessed to build another nation, to build several other nations, none of them on the African continent. That's the irony, isn't it? When the Western world uses the words like poor and developing to describe African nations, when they try to make Africans feel inferior, meanwhile, people of African descent have served as the economic and cultural backbone of nearly all Western nations. Meanwhile, people who made some of the greatest inventions of the Western world are of African descent. I had planned in my speech today to quantify the loss, specifically in financial terms. From the arrival in North America of the first slave ship in the 1600s until the lowering of the colonial flag on African soil in 1990 has primarily been financial, primarily profit-making. What and how many natural resources to extract? Then too, how to use those resources for economic gain. Sugar plantations, cotton fields, construction, cooking, cleaning. All these required steady hands to pick, pack, plant, chop, stir, scrub, hammer, and nail. Within the diaspora, how do we begin to calculate the financial cost of slavery to settle on a single number for reparations? How do we begin to do the same on the African continent? These are serious questions because the damage done by the institutions of slavery and colonialism are still echoing through the daily lives of most black people across the globe. In North America, it can be seen in the violent, sometimes deadly policing and discriminatory housing and employment policies. In Africa, it can be seen in the infrastructural deficits, the need for more schools, hospitals, affordable housing, and better roads. It can be seen in the inability of most Africans to read and write in their native languages, despite being able to read and write and speak in their colonial languages. From the continent and throughout the diaspora, the resounding damage of slavery and colonialism are most painfully evident in the displacement of our people. We're always migrating north or south, or emigrating to Europe or North America. We're being either forcibly removed from our homes or moving voluntarily with nothing more than the hope of a better life elsewhere, even though we still love our homelands and wish we could stay. A prime example of such displacement would be the community of Afriqueville. The government neglected to provide the Afriqueville community with basic services, despite several petitions by the residents, and they allowed the community to fall into disrepair. The area immediately surrounding Afriqueville was used for industrial purposes, and a waste facility was even situated near the residences, a classic case of environmental racism. One after the other, people of Afrikville fell ill and the community was forcibly relocated to homes in another part of town because the government deemed that the area was a health hazard. Then the site where Afrikville had once existed in disrepair as a slum underwent a revitalization that resulted in the construction of a bridge, port facilities, and new roads. The attention, time, and financial investment that was not given to Afrikville was suddenly somehow available. Though it took nearly 5 decades, I understand that the city of Halifax issued an apology. I understand that it also began the process of reparation for the families and individuals who were affected by the forced removals and demolitions of one of the first communities of free black people in North America. I hope this inspires more cities throughout the diaspora to issue apologies and offer reparations for the wrongs done to the numerous black communities that have been stolen away, burned, drowned, leveled, or otherwise somehow destroyed. On the African continent, every time a young person packs a small sack and walks beyond the borders of his or her country and continues north to brave the Sahara Desert to cross over into Europe, it's an example of a voluntary migration. And those types of departures are usually born out of desperation, poverty, hunger, war, limited opportunities, and climate crises, such as floods, fires, and droughts. Warsan Shire, a Kenyan-born Somali poet who was raised in the UK and now lives in the US, wrote in her poem titled Home, and I read, "No one spends days and nights in the stomach of a truck, feeding on newspapers, unless the miles traveled mean something more than journey. No one crawls under fences. No one wants to be beaten or pitied." While traveling here on the airplane, I was thinking of all these things: loss, the financial impact of loss, and how to calculate reparations in such a way that they not only acknowledge past suffering, but also take into account the current social inequities that exist as a direct result of slavery's legacies. For some reason, neither I nor the flight attendant had lowered the shade on the small window by my seat. I pressed my forehead to the window and stared through the clouds down into the ocean below. And I thought of the people who had fallen ill on those slave ships and had their dead or nearly dead bodies thrown overboard. I thought too of those who had escaped the clutches of their overseers and ran quickly barefoot to the top deck and then jumped overboard. Who were they? From what town or village had they been forcibly taken? Ghana, my country, has more slave forts, fortresses, and castles than any other country in the world. The once free African men and women and children would be led in shackles and chains from Salaga in the northern part of Ghana down to the Asen-Manso ancestral slave river site, where they were giving their final bath. Asen-Manso, where the river was also the site of a market where people who had been captured were brought to be sold and purchased. I suppose this would be a good place to stop and address the question and concerns many black people in the diaspora have about whether Africans sold other Africans, their own people, into slavery. To the best of my knowledge, this was not a universally acceptable practice. Nevertheless, the monetary inducement by the white slave traders created bands of opportunistic locals who raided villages for the sole purpose of capturing people to sell. So some Africans did sell others, even after it had become clear that slavery in the Western world was not an indentured servitude or practice of serfdom, but a very brutal institution. There's an African-American saying I recently learned that fits perfectly in this discussion. Not all skin folk are kinfolk. That was true then, and it's true even now. On the plane looking down into the Atlantic Ocean, I wondered about the people for whom that was their final resting place. I wondered about the relatives and friends who had been waiting for them to return home, the mothers and fathers who went to their graves with an aching in their souls, knowing what had happened to their sons and daughters who had simply disappeared. Or worse, knowing their sons and daughters had been captured and fearing the unknown fate that had befallen them. Whenever black people from the diaspora come to Ghana, they visit the Cape Coast Castle or the Elmina Castle. The Cape Coast Castle is one of two fortresses in which captured Africans were held before being transported to one of the numerous nations that were engaged in the business of chattel slavery. Visitors to Cape Coast Castle are giving a detailed tour of the facilities. They are taken into the dungeons where the once free men, women, and children were held without food, a bathroom, or lights.
So you heard excerpts of a speech by former President John Mahama at the 2023 Universities Conference on Slavery in Canada. That's how we conclude today's edition of the program. We've been live from our studios here at number 11, Dr. Martin Lupin at Dabraka in Accra. Show has been produced by Nana Kobna Wilson, Sami Weafe, and Beverly in London. Social media assistance provided by Edwin Kwa Kofi. Technical assistance by Daniel Squashi. Earlier you heard Ajwa Tinkrama. My name is Salom Adonu. Kindly remember that we are still receiving relief items for victims of the Akosombo Dam spillage here at Citi FM. So if you have something to donate, kindly make your way here. Have a good evening.